Okay, welcome to our share, Parshas Naso, Tafshin Pei Aleph, and welcome everybody back from Chag HaShavuos. I hope we had a wonderful Yontiv and a Kabbalah Satira, and went Mala in the Bomsei Atira. So Baruch Hashem, last week we spoke a little bit about the Inyan in Rus, when Rus told Boaz, Ufarasta Kunafechalai, and her proposal to marriage was an interesting one, of putting your konaf, and it translates your robe, upon me. And we miramas that back to the story of the Chofetz Chaim's rekel. You can see it last week, I won't repeat it. When the Chofetz Chaim put his rekel on somebody, it made a lifelong impression upon him. And we talked about the importance of taking from ourselves and spreading it upon another person. That's the inyan of Ufrasta Chafecha. So over the course of Shavuos, when talking to people about it, I realized that it goes far deeper. And we find in our davening, when we talk to the Ribbono Shel Olam, when we beg him on Friday night and Yontiv nights, and we say, Ufreis Alecha, Aleinu, Sukkos Shlemecha for Ashkenaz, or Sukkos Rachmim V'Chaim V'Shalom. We in effect are asking the exact same thing from the Ribbono Shel Olam. We want Priestess Kunafim, we want him to spread his robe upon us and to give that security. As we mentioned, it's sort of like a baby blanket. Lahavdil, when every child, what is the one thing children love the most when they go to sleep, is that their parents tuck them in. There's a certain ava that's covering them, and they feel that ava. Matter of fact, many children have a favorite blankie that they feel gives them that closeness of remembering their parents' ava. So in the same way that we're talking about that shalom bayis we spoke about of Rus, saying this is what marriage is, and being frois kapecha v'rasta kapecha lai. So in the same way we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to cover us, to guard us, and to give us that priestess kunafayim. And in truth, it's very interesting, because that's exactly the lashon of the kruvim. The kruvim are called priestess kunafayim. They take their wings and they spread it and they cover the aron with it. That's the same concept of the priestess kunafayim. So we see this subject that we've begun to explore over the last number of weeks, and we started with the story of the rekel, of how that increases to show how HaKadosh Baruch Hu has that relationship with us, and the kruvim have that relationship with priestess kunafayim. And the truth is, we take it even farther. We find out that what do we call our tzitzis? We call our tzitzis hakonaf psil tchelis. It's also that. The corner is called the konaf, and the corner also means wings. And the corner also, konaf is the robe. So how does that all go together? And I think that's the pshat, is that when we wear our tzitzis, we're in effect having wings. We're able to go out of our mundane, daily, humdrum life that we lead on the Gashmias level, and in fact spread our wings into the Ruchniistic world, into the exciting world of Ruchnius, which we all crave so much, with the spirituality that everybody wants, to realize that they're not just here to live and die. They're here for a purpose. They're here to do something more. So the tzitzis represent hakana psil tchelis. They represent that ability to fly and go. So we've started with priestess kunafayim, covering with the wings, covering with the garment, covering with the rekel, and we realize what that all does is makes us secure to be able to go and spread our wings and conquer the world in Ruchnius. So in our parsha we have a very, very interesting 96 psukim. Longest parsha in the Torah, 176 psukim, 96 tell us about the Nesiim, the Karbanos and Nesiim. And we learn about those Karbanos, we all have it drilled into our head. Vehi hamagd b'yom rishayin Karbanoi, Nachshon ben Nadav, Lamati Yehuda, Karbano, Karas Katzavacha, Shleishim Me'ah, Mishkalah, and we have it over and over and over. And the Torah has 12 Nesiim, and each one is 8 psukim, so it's 96 psukim, all dedicated to repetitive karbanos that they gave. Each one gave a certain amount, and it gives in very big detail 8 psukim worth for each korban, and we have it times 12. And the Meforshim are all bewildered. We know that every single pasuk in the Torah is precious. Every single pasuk in the Torah is so valuable. Whole mesechtas are built out of a few psukim. Sometimes they say it's halachas tluyas ba'avir. We don't even have a pasuk. It's a remez of a pasuk. And all of a sudden, 96 psukim we dedicate to repeating over and over and over. And furthermore, what's the purpose of the repetition? Why don't we just say, Naso and Nadav did it, and the other ones did it? And if they did the exact same thing, what's the purpose? So Ramban famously says that, people might do the same action, but they can all have a different kavanah. We stand in the shul and daven. I stand in the shul, you have 100 people in the shul. I guarantee you, not one has the same kavanah. Not one. They're all thinking different machshavas. They're all thinking different thoughts. They all have different things they're asking from the Rabbi Shalom. They all have, everyone. So in the same way, every single one of the seam, it might be the same korban, but each one had a different kavanah. Each one had different, everybody is different. Kashem sheparts of fame, shinais, kachdeo same shines. Just like their visage is different of every single person. No two people look the same, unless they're identical twins, and then they look different. You just don't have to figure it out. You just don't know. So in the same way, they have different days. So that's one pshat. I heard from Victor Miller another pshat, a beautiful pshat. It says, let's see, and he gives a moshel. You're in shul on Yontiv, and they're making the peel. The Rabbi gets up, as we're making a peel for the shul. Who'd like to give? And the first one says, I'll give $100. So he says, oh, thank you so much, Rabbi Yankel. It's so beautiful what you're doing. Thank you. The second one says, I'll give $100. Oh, thank you so much. Third one says, he gets like, thank you. The fourth one already is not saying anything. It's already boring. So, like the last one, what did he do? What was he shouldering? He gave the same $100 as the first one, just because he happened to come in line later. It harkens back to the story that we love to tell of the person who didn't have children for many years, that I went to the bris of the seventh child, and the father got up and he said, it's a little unfair. When I had the first bris, my first child, after many years of not having the whole city came, everybody came, told me they davened for us for all the years, they're so happy for us, and they were there for me. And this child already, not such a big crowd. It's already, he's already had plenty of children. We don't have to come. He says that might be true about me, but to the child, he deserves balloons like the first one. Why is the seventh child any different than the first? Just because he came seventh? There's I think they call the middle child the green kangaroo. There's a book that the first child is the first, is the Bechor. The last child is the baby in the family. Everybody lavishes love on him. The middle, Nabuch. He feels so. Every single one is. He said my last child deserves much balloons and excitement as the first one. Everyone is choshev. Dr. Victor Miller. That's the lesson. The lesson is that the last Nasi was as choshev as the first Nasi, and everyone deserves. If you just said Naso and Nadav and, it would not have been fair to the other ones. Every single one is choshev, every single person. And the truth is, that's how we have to. There's many stories by Gedolei Yisrael that a bacher came over and told him somebody being mechassan. And they go, oh, it's so exciting, right? When the next one came over, he didn't say, oh, I know about it already, and make the person feel like 2 cents. He said, oh God, gewaltig, and he gave the same excitement on every single one, because every single one is taka choshev. It's a lesson. We should all be very careful when somebody tells us something, and even if we know it, we should not say, oh, you told us already, because it makes the person feel like 2 cents. We should give him the same chashivas, even if he didn't say, even if we heard it already before, and we know it, even if we heard it from him already. It's not the way to behave, and that's the lesson. Lessons that everybody is chashuv, everybody deserves to be recognized, and everybody deserves to have ava. So I'd heard a shmuz, derasha from Rav Yonis and Katz, a chashuv, a Talmud Chacham, and Rav in Flatbush, and he was talking about, he was there for the Urfruf of my Einikel in Parshas Emor, and he talked about Kahanim. He himself is a kind of Katz. And he says, now is when I can talk about Tikkun, because it's Parshas Emor, we talk about Kahanim. And he mentioned something that made a big impression on me. So the Vilna Gaon, there was the Baal Shulchan Aruch wrote a sefer called the Magid Meisharim, and it was Torah that was taught to him by a Magid meaning a Malach from Shemayim that came to him and learned with him. A Malach also came to the Vilna Gaon, and the Vilna Gaon said no, he refused it. He said, I want all my Torah to come from Amelus B'Torah. I don't want it to come that I got it, so to speak, free. I want it to come because I am Amelus. Obviously, had a different Shita, different Sharish Neshama and Shulchan Aruch, that one said yes, one said no, but that was the Yisod. He said, I want to have an Amelus B'Torah. So he mentioned that L'chaira, a Kayin, gets it automatically. He gets a Zak Kedusha from himself. And he said in Pidyon Ben that when you have a Pidyon Ben, it's a very strange ceremony. The Kayin comes to the father, and the father reads a nusach off a sheet of paper from the Siddur, and the father basically says, Kayin, the Kayin says, you want me to keep the child, or you want to give me $5? So the father says, I'll give you $5, I want the child. He said what the father is saying is, he could have Kedusha the Kayin, but that's a free Kedusha. I want my son to have Amelus B'Torah. I want him to get to there on his own. I don't want him to get it for free. And therefore I'll keep it that way. So what about a Kayin? Hashem gave Kedusha to Kahanim. So it says, Asher Kiddushanu B'Kedushasa Shel Ar, that when the Kahanim give the bracha, and they say Hashem, he says it's almost like an apology. What does that mean? He says, can you imagine you're sitting, he didn't say, I'll say the mashal. He says you're the janitor in MTJ, and you're a Kayin. So there's Ramesha sitting there, and you're getting up, sitting, and I'm going to give a bracha to Ramesha? That's ridiculous. Ramesha be giving me brachas. I'm not going to. Elamai, Asher Kiddushanu B'Kedushaso Shel Aaron. Hashem gave me Kedusha. I have this as part of my heritage. And therefore I'm able to do it. Because Hashem gave it to me. And now I have that Kedusha, I'm going to build on that Kedusha. I'm going to take the Kedusha and I'm going to spread it over everybody. Excuse me. I'm going to spread it over everybody in the shul. And that's what he did. Asher Kiddushanu B'Kedushas Aaron. So I was thinking, a person's rich. A person's a wealthy person. He also has Hashem's gift. And now I'm going to take that gift, I'm going to give it to others. He should say, Asher Kiddushanu B'Gvuraso Shel Rothschild. Or if he's strong, Asher Kiddushanu B'Asher Shel Rothschild. If he's strong, he's Asher Kiddushanu B'Gvuraso Shel Shimshon. And I'm going to use it for the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So what the Kayin is saying, Avada, he started out with Kedusha that was given to him. But now he can take that Kedusha and he can move with it. And he can spread it and he can do something with it. And that's really the challenge to all of us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu started us all out at the Kedusha level. Now we take the Kedusha or the rich or whatever level HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to us, and now we take the Amelus level and we move it forward on our own. So I think there's a happy medium here. There's a medium, there's an understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us something precious to each and every one of us. Some of He gave in a tier for Chesed. Some of us He came. Not everybody can be a Hatzalah member, right? If you blanch at the sight of blood, it's not a good thing to go into. But you can start a tzedakah organization. You can do something else. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us all kaiches. HaKadosh Baruch Hu all Asher Kiddushanu B'Kedushasai, Asher Kiddushanu B'Ashrei, Asher Kiddushanu B'Gvurasai, Asher Kiddushanu with kaiches. Everybody has it. Now we have to take it. We have to turn to Amelus. Now we have to go somewhere with it. That's going to be our challenge, to move it forward, to move it into some place where we can make a big difference. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave all the Nesiim, and He taught us that everybody has a base level. Everybody has, that we want everybody to get their due for what they have done. Nobody should be seen and not taken seriously. But what we do with what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, how we take what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, That's up to us. So the fact we have to take our tzitzis, our knafayim, we have to take those wings. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us wings. That He created us with. It's up to us to fly. Have a good Shabbos.